Big Sills, National Football Show. Welcome aboard. We appreciate everybody stepping in with us. It is NFL Wildcard Week. How could you not love this week? I'll tell you this about the National Football League. One of the things that you love the most about it is that I think this year the championship is wide open. Now watch this when you're talking about the NBA. Wake me up in June, okay? The regular season of the NBA. Wake me up in June. But the NFL, anything can happen. Do you know the last team that had home field advantage to win the Super Bowl? You know who that was? You got it. The 2017 Philadelphia Eagles. That's the last team to win the Super Bowl. It's not cut and dry. It's not cut and dry, man. By the way, today, hopefully we're going to catch up with Seth Joyner, but at 5:30 Eastern, we will have Pro Football Hall of Famer and also College Football Hall of Famer Warren Moon. He'll join us at 5:30 Eastern time. What a great coaching job Pete Carroll has done with that Seattle Seahawks team. Incredible. By the way, think about this. You may play the Seahawks if you're the Eagles, if they upset and win this weekend. You could theoretically know that you're playing Seattle if they're able to upset, I believe, the 49ers. Is that right? I think it's the 49ers, right? You could know Saturday, and that would be some advantage for the Eagles if they knew Saturday afternoon that they could have the Seahawks. So we'll talk to the legendary Warren Moon about the playoffs, about Jalen Hurts, and about the great job that Pete Carroll has done with that Seahawks team after they get rid of Russell Wilson. An amazing, amazing job of coaching. This could be Pete Carroll's best coaching job since they won the Super Bowl. So we'll talk to Warren Moon at 5:30 Eastern. Let me start, and before we get to the topics, I was asked this question. Who has been the most improved football player on the Eagles this year? Who has been the most improved? Marcus Epps? Devonta Smith? Josh Sweat? Jalen has improved so much. He's improved so much. But can I throw this at you here? How about no one talking the job this year that Landon Dickerson did and how good he's a Pro Bowler. Landon Dickerson's a Pro Bowler. And he's going to get some love for all pro. Now, look, Zach Martin's sitting there at that left guard position. There's no question. You sit there and you're looking at Zach Martin there and you're going to go like this. That guy's going to win it until he leaves the NFL. But Landon Dickerson, you could make the argument he's the second best left guard in the NFL, right? Am I wrong when I say that? He's had a hell of a year. This guy has, like you said, hey, Christian, he's been pancaking guys all year. He's been nicked up a little bit. Marcus Epps, Devonta Smith. If I had to pick a guy, and it was great to hear that he's practicing today. I love the fact that Josh Sweat is back on the practice field after being carried off the field. I think he's had an incredible season this year. I agree with you guys. Hurts he's improved so much. But these other guys, I think they've also. Josh Sweat is now a 3-down defensive lineman. I had so many doubts about that at the beginning of the year. I did not think that Josh Sweat was an every down lineman. He's proven me wrong. He's gone out there and absolutely knocked the door down, and you're going to make it more difficult if you're looking for an edge rusher in the upcoming NFL draft to go out and get an edge rusher because of the job that Josh Sweat has done this year. Now, is he going to be consistent enough for him to be able to go out there and do it each and every single year? Yes, Herman. On all of these guys. Landon Dickerson, Josh Sweat, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts, Marcus Epps. These guys have all been dudes that Howie drafted and they got better this year. That's what I'm trying. That's player development. See, the cool thing that I'm talking about here, these are guys you invested money in. These are guys that you invested draft capital in. And you're getting a return on your investment here. This is what you're talking about on what makes a successful organization is when you draft them and you're looking at a second. If you can ever get your draft choice to a second or third contract, he was a win because that means you drafted a starter. Very seldom are you going to draft a Pro Bowler. You're looking to draft starters. And these guys all are starters. That's pretty impressive. Okay? You know, and I'm very critical of Howie Roseman when it comes to his drafting. These guys were all draft picks. All draft picks. And they've all improved. They've all improved with the coaching. Stoutland and I think Tracy Rocker. I think Tracy's done a nice job this year. Little suspect at the beginning of the year. Tracy Rocker, the defensive line coach for the Eagles. I think he's actually done a pretty good job. The only question mark I have is really Jordan Davis. I don't know if Jordan Davis is going to be a good football player. I have no idea. His first year is kind of like, you know, an incomplete. So I don't know. And if I'm Javon Hargrave is going to make a lot of money because you know why? The Eagles aren't sure on Davis. You're not going to let Javon Hargrave walk onto the street with 11 sacks and 60 tackles. You're not. When you're not sure that guy, you see what the organization was hoping for with Jordan Davis? They were hoping he showed enough for them to be able to move off of Fletcher Cox or Javon Hargrave. They can't do that now. So the guys they have, I'm not moving off of anybody in that interior line until I'm sold that Jordan Davis is more than just a spark plug. He's got to be more than just a run stopper with the 13th pick in the draft. I'm not sold on Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis has not shown me enough to move off of Javon Hargrave. Maybe Fletcher. Maybe. I think actually, would we not agree with this? I think since they got Sue and Joseph, I think actually Fletcher Cox has upped his game. I think he looks pretty good. I think, you know what? I might invite Fletcher back. Not at 14-4. Not at 14-4. But I think Fletcher Cox has actually upped his game. You know, if the Eagles went out and went like this to Fletcher Cox, here's $7 million with opportunities to make 10 to 12 million. I think Fletcher Cox might come back. Why would you want to go to the grass potentially greener on the other side? Now, if you want to be a gypsy like Adama Sue and chase some bucks and opportunity to win a ring, okay, that's cool too. There's no issues with that. That's what Adama Sue did. You know, after Detroit, Miami, Los Angeles, the Bucks, now the Eagles, he turned into a gypsy. That's okay. He's a hired assassin. Fletcher could do the same route and do that too. No way. I'm not calling Jordan Davis a bust. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if it sounds like that, I'm sorry. I'm not saying that Jordan Davis is a bust. I just need to see more. I don't think he's a very productive player. I'll be very candid with you. I do not think he's a very productive player. He's never been. You've got to be good with who he is. He's Vince Wilfork 2.0. He wasn't very productive at Georgia. He was, in the last 2 years, with all those great talented players that they have down at Georgia, he's probably the least defensive interior lineman and the least productive guy of all of those dudes. 9 sacks in 44 games? I don't know. That's not very productive. He's a heck of a talent. But as I've told you about Jordan, I don't think Jordan Davis has ever lived up to his skill. 4.78 at 330 pounds. Guy's got a great broad jump. The guy's great, but he doesn't really have a very good motor. Can I tell you who Jordan, I don't know, Tone, maybe you guys could say this. Can I tell you who I think Jordan Davis is? He's Joel Embiid. And what I mean by that is guys like Giannis, guys like Jimmy Butler, guys like those dudes, they up their game in the postseason. They don't get hurt, and they're never out of gas. Joel Embiid's out of gas in the postseason. Jordan Davis gets out of gas. You have to put his ass on a pitch count. Okay? One thing you don't ever have to say to an athlete, or should you ever, be in shape. You know why? It takes no athleticism to be in shape. That's a desire and a skill that you have internally, that you know you have to be in shape. That kid doesn't have that in him to be in shape. Dude, I mean, is he hurt? Did he play last week? You would have thought he would have had 1 million reps last week against the scrub Giants. I think he's lazy. Maniac. I think Jordan Davis is lazy. Maybe a better comparison is an early Barkley with the Sixers. I think he's lazy. If I were to say a criticism about Jordan Davis this year, he showed flashes and he was lazy. He wasn't very productive again. Okay? Just saying. No, leave it to Joseph. Don't you want more from Joel Embiid in the postseason? Or is it just me? Don't you want more from him? Don't you want to have him out there like Giannis is? Or like Jimmy Butler? Or some of these other guys? There's always something with your Sixer team. Dude, I'll give it to Harden, man. Guy's revamped his game. He's playing his ass off. Good for him. But got to see more from Joel Embiid, dude. That's all I'm saying. I want my stars to step up in the postseason. Davis only played 8 snaps. Hey, man, watch this. I never said this about an athlete. I sure hope he's hurt. Why would he only get 8 snaps against scrubs? Why would he only get 8 snaps? I'm just saying, hey, I want to see more from him. I think this year, I think he's incomplete too. D- kind of shit. He didn't impress me. In no form or fashion did he impress me at all this year. I mean, it's one thing to be a guy who goes to the combines and puts up those great numbers. It's another thing for a guy to go out and be. I think Milton Williams was more productive this year than he was. Milton Williams, to me, outplayed him. Well, Silsey was hurt. Again, dude, you're the 13th pick. Most 13th picks and most first rounders in the top 15 contributed to their team this year. Okay? Just get better. I'm not calling him a bust, but you can't be lazy. And it's laziness. I think he let down Howie a little bit because they want to make decisions on DTs. Because the priority is going to be to re-sign CJ, Bradbury, and make a decision on Darius Slay. What do you do with Darius Slay? My opinion, I think Darius Slay is starting to show signs of going the other way. And the other two guys are 26 and 27. I don't know. Slay's 32. You're going to pay $18 million to Darius Slay this coming year? Probably. But if I had my choice, I would draft a corner, and I'd keep CJ and Bradbury, and somehow I would try to move Darius Slay. why he's got value. He's 32. This dude probably has one more year. That was always the key in New England. They let go of Darrelle Revis. And they got assets back in return. Joey Porter Jr., I think he's going to play more of a safety, Taylor, when he gets to the NFL, the kid from Penn State. I think he's going to be more of a safety. If I had to put him at a position, I don't know he's skilled enough to play the cornerback position in the NFL. I think he'd make a great safety back there. To somebody like that, I would put him at safety. I think he's a hitter. You know, he's got a little bit of John Lynch in him. He's a ball hawk kind of guy. I like him, man. I think he's a good football player. Okay? Joseph, remember when Sills wanted Russell Wilson? So did Howie Roseman. Thank you for reminding me that your GM wanted him too. They made calls for him. They inquired about him. Yeah, Joseph. So I guess great minds think alike. Let's get into the topics. I would think about letting Slay go in the offseason. I would think about letting him go, drafting a corner, signing CJ, and signing Bradbury. Those guys are going to command between $14 and $15 million. You let Fletcher go at $14 million, you got some money to move around in the offseason and still be good. Okay? That was a Freudian slip. I meant me, a great mind. Thank you. And by the way, I think Darius Slay is a heck of a ball player. No shade on him. But I think it's time to move off him. Get something for him before you can't get anything for him. He's 32. Am I right? Someone looked that up for me. I think he's 32 years old. Maybe 33. You're starting to get to that area now where you're going like this. He's not really a tackler either. So you can't move him over to the slot corner. Okay? Seals, can you help teach Jordan Davis? He's just got to fulfill his talent. He's never lived up to it. Georgia or his first year in Philly. He's always been that guy. He was that guy at Georgia. He wasn't very good in the Southeastern Conference Championship game. He was amazing in the national title game against Alabama. One off. You know what I'm saying? 1 week he's here, next week he's there. You want to have more consistency. Look, I think he's got Jerome Brown capability. He could be that kind of talent. He's got great swivel in the hips. I think he could be a decent pass rusher if they helped him. I don't know why he's not. I think they're disappointed with him this year. I would say if you had to look at Jordan Davis, you were disappointed with him this year. I'm not calling him a bust. There's some pretty good ball players in front of him. You also have to put that into context. There's some really good players in front of Jordan Davis. Okay? All right. Let's move over to the topics now. I thought about this topic, and there's really been 3 MVPs to this season in Philadelphia. 3 MVPs. Okay? Daniel goes, he got hurt. He got hurt because he's fat. Got hurt because he's fat. I've never in his 4 years or 3 years at Georgia saw him in shape. Except for once, the national title game. Be in shape, dude. This season has been built by 3 people. Who is the MVP of the Eagles? Jalen Hurts? Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni. Of those three guys, look, we can all do the easy layup, all three, Sills. No shit. In your opinion, who has separated themselves on why this team is where they are right now? Jalen Hurts, Howie Roseman, or Nick Sirianni? We're going to go over all three guys and the importance. Okay? Who? Hurts. Howie is MVP. He put all those guys in a position to succeed, says Roland. Ikun goes Sirianni. Howie, says Taylor. Staley says Hurts. These three guys have all had Jalen Roseman. I like that. These three guys have all had great years. All three of these guys could be the MVP at their respected skill set. Jalen could be the MVP of the league. Howie is going to be the executive of the year. And Nick could win coach of the year. How many times do you have things like that where you have the GM of the year, the coach of the year, and potentially the MVP of the year? Very rarely do all three guys collide. Okay? I mean, very rarely do all three collide like this. Let's take a look at Jalen first. Jalen's play has been, and his improvement as a football player has been off the charts. I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to relent on one thing, and I'm going to agree with some of you here on Hurts. You guys said this at the beginning of the year. I kind of laughed and scoffed at it. I think Jalen Hurts has improved more from his first year starting to his second year than more Josh Allen and also Lamar Jackson did. Now, I'm not going to say Lamar Jackson. I thought about Lamar. I wanted to put that out there because in Lamar's true second year starting, he was the MVP of the league and led the NFL in touchdown passes. And he also won 14 games. And he was a unanimous MVP. And he did gain 1,400 yards, and he did lead the NFL in touchdown passes. So he had a superior year to Jalen. So that's kind of a tough one there. So the improvement is probably Lamar. Lamar had better improvement. He was the MVP of the league. He was a 1,200-yard rusher. He was a 36 touchdown thrower. Jalen's got 22. Wasn't close. However, his improvement is bigger than I think Josh Allen. I agree with you. Thought about it last night before I said it. Josh Allen got better with better coaching, and Josh Allen got better with Stephon Diggs. There's no question about that. The addition of that skill, being on a perimeter like that, has made him a different player. Plus, let's not forget the most important thing, Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll is like the quarterback whisperer. Look at Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones does not look anything like he has since he came out of Duke. This was a really good year for that kid. I'm not saying you build your franchise around his ass, but what I'm telling you, I think that guy's had a hell of a season. Okay? Joseph, I have to agree with some of you guys. Hurts is not better than Lamar Jackson. You're out of your mind. You're out of your... Jalen Hurts will never lead the NFL in touchdown passes. Ever. That's not what he does. That's not what he does. Now, Jalen may, in his 7-year brief career that he's going to have, he may lead the NFL in total touchdowns. Like he may have 15 rushing touchdowns one year and 25 passing touchdowns. You could see something like that where he could potentially have the most TDs of any player. That I could see. But he's never going to ever lead the NFL in touchdown passes. That's not how they call plays here. They don't call plays like that. They have designed runs. He's going to be hurt. He's going to miss games. This is a fact. Get used to it. Jalen's a better passer than Lamar? How can that be? The guy led the NFL in touchdown passes. He has not displayed that. He has not displayed that. That's not a true statement. You don't have facts to back that up. Now, the completion percentage kind of goes to your argument. Sills, he's got a higher completion percentage. He went from 61 last year to I think he's at 67 this year. I don't think Lamar Jackson ever gets above 65, 66, 67% completion percentage. And that's where the true elite arms are. So maybe he is more accurate. Okay, maybe he is a tad bit more accurate. Lamar's a better athlete, though. Lamar Jackson's a better athlete. Okay? Lamar can't pass from the medical tent. Neither can your guy. Before you start barking about Lamar's health, worry about your own guy's health. He's not even healthy going into the divisional game. You're talking about Lamar's health? I mean, I'd worry about your health. Your guy's been hurt the last 2 years. It's not going to get better. All of a sudden, he's going to get healthier. That's not going to work like that. I'm starting to believe that, Rock, and I'm going to hit on that a little bit later on Lamar and potentially not playing this weekend. I got an ass with that for sure. Okay, I do. I think Jalen Hurts has had a really good year. It's going to be interesting to see how the Eagles handle him in the offseason and what they're going to do. Are they going to let him play into his final year of his contract? Is there going to be a handshake of an agreement? Is there going to be a short-term? Is there going to be a short-term contract? Are they going to give him a signing bonus? Are they going to help him out? I don't know. He's the lowest. Always know this. Jalen Hurts is the lowest paid guy in your offensive huddle for a reason. That's why you're able to acquire all these pieces that you need. It's the only reason. That'll go away once they sign Jalen Hurts to a contract that has substantial money behind it. Howie will never be able to go out and do the things that he's doing right now. And you don't need any more of an example than what happened when you started giving Wentz that money, because Howie was preparing the salary cap for that. And that's why that team went down to 4 wins. It started disintegrating around the quarterback because of the money they paid him. Same thing with Joe Flacco and what happened in Baltimore. Once they started playing Flacco, they had to get rid of Anquan Boldin. They had to get rid of Ed Reed. They had to get rid of Bryant McKinney. They had to get rid of all those guys because they couldn't afford them anymore. That's just the nature of the beast. Sills, what's your grade for Roquan Smith signing? A+. He's the best tackle machine in the league. Him and Warner, the kid in San Francisco, are the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL. Those two guys are the best interior linebackers. Roquan Smith is a machine. Fred Warner is a machine. And they're pluggers. They're hitters. They can cover. They're the premium 2 inside linebackers in the National Football League. You cannot get better. I'll tell you what. They're not quite Ray Lewis because Ray ran a 4.4. But I'll tell you what. These two guys are a tick below Ray. Ray is the best interior middle linebacker that's ever played in the NFL. These guys are kind of right below him. And they hang out there. They're good. Roquan's very expensive, TJ. Absolutely. But when you want a Ferrari, you got to pay premium money for it. You're not going to get a hometown discount with a Ferrari. You're not going to go in there to Enzo Ferrari and go, hey, can I get a hometown discount? I'm Italian. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen, guy. You know? Those two guys are spectacular. Let me move to Howie Roseman's job this year. Let's put his drafting aside. And the question we're asking, who's been the MVP of the Eagles this year? Hurts, Roseman, or Sirianni? Here's Howie Roseman's year to me. I was suspect at the beginning of the year with all the changes that he made and adding all the new faces. You're going to have between 14 to 16 free agents at the end of the year. And I'm going to say it again to you. Tone, I don't know if you agree. This is a one-year window. This is a one-year window. This is not a 4-year dynasty that you think it is. It's not. Economics are going to take the team apart. Not only economics, but the one-year deals. You got one-year deals everywhere. You're losing depth in your O-line. Andre Dillard's gone. Maybe Jason Kelce comes back. Isaac Seumalo's gone. He's going to make enormous money in the open market. They win the Super Bowl, these guys' values all go up. Okay? Here, so watch this. Look at Philiopolis. See what an idiot this guy is here, Philiopolis? I'm going to show you why this guy here has no idea every time he comes on our show on how stupid he looks. So you're going to lose Isaac Seumalo, your right guard. No contract has been put on the table for him. Okay? No contract has been put on the table for him. You're going to lose your 1,200-yard running back. So there you're losing production in your offense. 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns. Gone. You're going to lose Dillard. That's depth in your O-line. He's going to start on 70% of the NFL teams in the NFL this year. He's going to start because of the shitty offensive lineman. Andre Dillard, Barrett Brooks even came on here and said he's going to make a ton of money. So you're losing depth. Okay? So you're losing your right guard. You're losing your running back. Look at those two. You're losing 2 starters just on your offense. That's why this is not a dynasty. And if you got to start paying your quarterback, here, let's move on. Fletcher, they're not giving him $14 million. Starter, DT, gone. I say they bring Hargrave back. I say they let Kaiser White go. You lose a linebacker. I say you lose. Who are you going to lose? Bradbury or CJ? Can't have all three. You can't have all three. Who are you losing? Who are you losing? Let's just say one of them. Bradbury, because Bradbury's going to command a lot of money. And the reason CJ's going to command a lot of money, okay, you know why he's going to command a lot of money? Because he's a corner, and he only makes $837,000. That guy's in line for a significant raise. So you're going to lose a DT, potentially 2 DTs, a starting linebacker, a cornerback, a right guard, a running back, and your backup offensive tackle. So you're losing 6 starters off your 22. How he built this team for today, not yesterday. Or excuse me, not for tomorrow. You've got at the perimeter, you're locked up at your perimeter and your tight end. The key is going to be to keep your old offensive line intact because that's where all your millionaires are. The bulk of your salary cap is in your O-line. That's where you feel you got to, well, it is. I'll explain here in a minute. T-Car, Sills, I feel like we have a good nucleus of young players to be relevant for a while. Like who? Who's a young player? Let's take a look at that. Say Malata, Dickerson, Devonta, AJ, Hurts. 1, 2, 3. There's 5. Who on defense? Who on defense do you think you could build your team around? Who on defense? Got Malata, Dickerson, Hurts, Devonta Smith, and AJ. AJ's young. He's 25. There's 5. Dallas Goedert. Absolutely, Dallas Goedert. There's 6. Who on defense? Cam Jurgens? Absolutely not. You have no idea if he's good. You have zero idea. Don't put people out there who haven't played. That's not a nucleus. You're guessing. You're guessing. Okay? Nakobe Dean? Absolutely not. Nakobe Dean, there's more question marks than positives with him. He couldn't get on the field? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nakobe Dean. I'm not sure he can make it in the NFL yet. He couldn't make it to the starting lineup, and he couldn't make it into any games. Jordan Davis? No way. Not sure yet. I don't know if he's a benchmark guy. Tell me some more on defense. I'm interested. Cam Jurgens. He hasn't played but maybe 2 downs, and this guy's got him as a benchmark guy. Whatever. 2 plays. Here, every time this guy Philiopolis opens his stupid hole, he shows you what an idiot he is. Cam Jurgens. Okay. He's played 2 plays. Josh Sweat? Yeah, okay. Josh Sweat? Sure. I think Josh has shown me enough. Josh Sweat. So you've got Mulata, Hurts, Dickerson, Devonta, AJ, Goddard, Josh Sweat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 7 guys. Dean will start next season. Wishful thinking. Wishful thinking. So 7 of your 22, that's not bad. That is a kind of that's a good core. Here's where I learned this from. I learned it from Tony Dungy. Dungy had, when he built the Bucs, he had Sapp, he had Derek Brooks, he had Rondé Barber. It was Sapp, Brooks, Barber, Lynch. And who else was on that team? Warrick Dunn. There were 5 guys. And then what did they start doing? They started adding Simeon Rice. They started adding Joe Jaravicius. They started adding other components to the football team. And they put free agents around the core group of guys. Tony said that's how they built the Bucs. They had like 5 dudes. Mike Allstott, too. That's right, Omar. Mike Allstott, too. Okay? Don't tell me what to do, Joseph. Mike Allstott was a major factor, too. Okay? Mike Allstott was a major factor. Seal, did you hear that what Gronkowski said about the Super Bowl? I did not. So, Howie's got a lot of work to do, but he's done a major job this year with this football team. He's done a great job. Howie's going to be the executive of the year, and I'll tell you where Howie's strength is. Howie's strength, in my opinion, is definitely cutting deals. I think Howie has done a great job at putting on. I've never seen more free agents in my life come into a place and succeed like this. Usually you don't have that kind of success. And good for him, man. Howie Roseman has had a hell of a year. I'm going to pick an MVP of the Eagles here in a minute. How about Nick Sirianni's job? Yeah, Simeon Rice. Simeon Rice, you could consider Simeon Rice for the Hall of, I mean, not for the Hall of Fame, but Simeon Rice, you could make an argument he should have been the MVP the year the Bucs won the Super Bowl. He was a heck of a ball player. The job what was the biggest influence that Sirianni had on the Eagles this year? What do you think that was? What was the biggest influence? What's his biggest impact that he has on a team? Like when you're talking Andy Reid, play calling, he's pretty decent when it comes to personnel decisions. What was Nick Sirianni's biggest role on this team? Hurts's role was playing and producing. Howie was putting the players on the field. What is Nick Sirianni? E. Kuhn says culture setting. Don't you think that's more Howie, though? The players that you draft are going to set the culture, aren't they? Andrew says nothing, not play calling. Believing in themselves. Sirianni's role agree with management. Okay. I mean, you guys aren't telling me what a role this guy's supposedly the coach of the year, according to some of you. Staying out of the way, time management, end game decisions. I don't think he's all that hot. I'm asking a question. What has been Nick Sirianni's biggest input to the success of the team this year? Cheerleader? Nothing wrong with that. Sirianni's how he's... God, you guys can't come up with one thing? His fourth down aggression? That's something there. He's not my coach of the year. Mine either, Mike. I think it's the guy in Jacksonville. Lifelong Philly fan, and I don't even have Sirianni as coach of the year. T. Carr, I mean, can somebody just please give me an answer on what Sirianni's impact has been on the success of the team this year? What's been his biggest asset? He's not a delegator. How he does that? Play calling are left up to his coordinators that Howie hired. What's Nick Sirianni's role? His energy? My energy is when I get my paycheck and my direct deposit. That's my energy. I don't need a cheerleader telling me how great it is to be an NFL guy. I see it every Tuesday when my direct deposit hits. Avenging Frank Reich? That's pretty crazy, isn't it? You guys can't come up with one thing that Sirianni has had an impact on the team this year. That's actually really good because some of you guys said this, and it is the most important thing, Mask. He pretty much stayed out of the way. How hard is it for Howie to stay out of the way? A lot. How hard is it for Jerry Jones to stay out of the way? How hard is it for all these guys? How hard is it for Belichick to stay out of the way? I think that's a skill. I think you have to put your ego aside. Nick wears Howie's knee pads. I got it, Jameson. I'm sorry I now said that. Building a system around Jalen, I think that's why the play calling was handed to Steichen a year ago after the 2-5 start. Yes. Okay. I think there's something to be said about that. Nick sustained locker room culture. Omar, come on, you know better than that. The only thing that kept the locker room culture going was winning. Winning is going to have the best culture in the building. Okay? Winning, I don't know. I don't know about culture. The winning built the culture. Who would you want as head coach? Sirianni or McCarthy? You know what's funny you say that, Jesse? How does Sean Payton have more? How do people look at Sean Payton more than they do Mike McCarthy? They both got the same playoff record. Sean Payton's 9-7 in the postseason. They make it sound like this guy here. How many lost opportunities did he have the last 4 years with Drew Brees, of Brees' last 3-4 years in New Orleans? How many overcooking plays did he call late in games? All of a sudden, Sean Payton now some guru. I don't think Sean Payton is that hot a coach. I think he's overrated. Like many of these coaches are that have these big-time quarterbacks. Hey, dude, if you're a skilled play caller and you have a superstar quarterback, you're going to win a shitload of ball games. But what I like is what's going on in San Francisco right now with Kyle Shanahan. That guy started the season out with Trey Lance. He went to Jimmy Garoppolo, and he went to Brock Purdy, and they still won the division title. He went down the system of 3 different systems this year and still won 12 ball games. It's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. You still won. Didn't matter who was your quarterback. That's pretty impressive. McCarthy or Sirianni? I'd probably take McCarthy because Sirianni has zero experience in the postseason. Zero. He has zero experience, except for that ass kicking last year. He's got zero experience. I don't like McCarthy. I think McCarthy is, I don't know. I think he benefited from Aaron Rodgers, but at least he won a Super Bowl. I mean, he's been there. He's knows how to prepare a football team for the postseason. I mean, I don't know. I think they did a nice job this year when they lost Dak. They went 4-0 with Cooper Rush. I don't know. I thought they did pretty good, him and Kellen Moore. Okay? I thought he did pretty well. Joe Judge is Belichick's worst problem. I think he's had more shitty assistants than just Joe Judge. I mean, look at the guy who coached Notre Dame for a while. That guy was a train wreck, and they gave him a shitload of money. Peyton knew about the bounty. Of course he did. Him and Greg Williams both got suspended, and so did Mickey Loomis. And the organization lost draft picks for that. Absolutely, man. Lost their coach, their D coordinator, and their GM for a year. Everyone was in on it. And you want to hear something crazy? Every one of those guys got their jobs back or a different job. Great. I mean, you could put a bounty on a player if you're a coach or an executive and get your job back. You imagine that? Guy snorts some coke. He's out for 2 years. You got to love it. Niners and Eagles heading in the same direction. Yes. Yes, they are. Rush is better than Zach. You mean Dak? I don't know about that. Sean Payton's a dirty coach. I think he's an overrated coach. Big Sills with the 49ers knee pads. You know that they're like the Buccaneers. Easy-ass division. I don't think the NFC East is all that. Not when the quarterbacks are Tyler Heineke, Dak Prescott, and Daniel Jones. That's not a gauntlet of quarterbacks that I have to go through. Teams were better this year. Correct, they were. They were better. They were better than advertised, but those quarterbacks don't scare me. Justin Herbert, a right Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. That's a division to have to get through. That's a pretty good division. Some pretty good quarterbacks in that division, too, to have to get through. So I would say this to you. I would go, I think the NFC East was much better than we all thought it was going to be. But, I mean, the quarterbacks don't scare anybody. Daniel Jones is not making people lose sleep at night. And neither was Tyler Heineke or the guy Sam Howell. I mean, really. Those guys, I mean, that's nothing to write home about. Okay? You praise Jones, Sills. I do. I think because he's gotten better. He's gotten better. But again, I'm not. That guy's not making me go, Jesus Christ, holy jeez, oh man. He's gotten better. He's had a heck of a year. Good coaching played into that. Absolutely. I think he's had a good year. But, I mean, I don't look at him like I do Josh Allen or Justin Herbert or Jalen. I don't look at him like that. Even Jalen, I don't look at him like that. I wouldn't say Daniel Jones sucks. Mopar, he's had a pretty good year. Had a higher completion percentage than what Hurts did. Threw for 35 or 3,600 yards this year. Ran for 700 yards. Had 7 rushing touchdowns. He put a pretty solid season up. For where he was, he put a pretty solid season up. Commanders are Week 18 champions. Sure, okay. That's why Dable's Coach of the Year. I think it's Doug Peterson down in Jacksonville. He would be my NFL Coach of the Year. So if I had to pick, My MVP for the Eagles, and who gets the love for the 14-3, and I'll say this to you, man, all kidding aside, as much as we nitpick at the Eagles, 14-3 is tremendous. 14-3, tremendous. Tremendous record. The organization had a very successful. Remember something. This is how you have to quantify this. The organization, the Philadelphia Eagles, had a very successful regular season. That's all you have done now. It's been a very, is this fair? The Eagles have had a very successful regular season. Very successful. Very successful regular season. We don't know postseason. We don't know the health of the team. But what they did and it's all behind them now. Now we can reflect back on it. They clearly have had a fabulous regular season. Okay? Jameson says that Lane's going to play. Okay? Lane's going to play, and he's going to be playing probably at 70% because from what I'm understanding, he's going to need surgery. He's probably going to have to line up against the way it could shake out, either Micah Parsons and then Nick Bosa. So those will be the two people he's lined up on. And by the way, I would put my best pass rusher on Lane Johnson, not on Jordan Mailata. I want to test and see if this guy's healthy. I'm coming right after him. Don't be offended by that. But the teams are going to game plan Lane Johnson to find out if he's healthy or not. And they'll have to have an in-game adjustment. If he is, and he can handle it, and he can finish a game, all bets are off. Then they'll probably flip their best pass rusher and put him back on Mailata, who has had a pretty decent year. I wouldn't say A year or B year. I think he's had a pretty solid season, C+ year. He's given up some pressures. His second move, again, is back. But again, I think that had to do with his shoulder injury this year. But I think he's had a solid season. But to me, I'm game planning Lane Johnson. I'm coming right after him. I'm going to run as many games as I can. I'm going to try to stress that stomach out as much as I can. Right at him. Okay? Right at him. And you love dual threat Hurts 0-1. I don't think Parsons is 100%. I've heard that. I'd love to see TJ Watt and Nick Bosa on the same. Oh, man. Those two guys are great pass rushers. I'm still thinking Bosa is the guy. Jesse says no one's afraid of the Niners. You should be. Because they mirror you and they're in better shape than you right now. They're in better shape. The Eagles, man, getting this bye. I wonder what it would have been like if Jalen Hurts had to play this week. If he would have went. Probably would have went because it's the playoffs and all bets are off, right? If he looked like anything he did in New York, they would have been bounced. Because Lane wouldn't have played and Jalen would have been 70%. They would have been bounced. If you played this weekend, the Eagles would have been bounced. You would have been bounced. You would have probably played Seattle. You would have had Seattle. No. Who's the lower wild card? Probably the Giants. You would have probably played the Giants. You would have probably took care of them. You would have took care of them and got to the divisional round. You would have took care of them because you would have probably played the Giants. Yeah. Okay. You would have probably played the Giants. You would have took care of the Giants. Yeah, I'm saying that. No, Tampa. Tyler, Tampa's a division winner. The wild card and the team in the postseason, the number one seed and the number one seed in each conference gets the lowest seed. And if there's a wild card team, they go down to the worst record wild card That could be Dallas, but I think it would be the Giants because the Giants would be the wild card coming out of the NFC East. I think they had a worse record than Seattle. Somewhere in there, either Seattle or New York, they would have played in the opening round. I think he would have took care of both those teams. Yeah, I do. But if you don't have Lane or you have a 65 to 70% Jalen Hurts, you're not advancing. So it's going to be imperative that they get as much rest as they can this off week here. This is important for them, man. This is going to be really important because if you're going to try to get Lane out there and Hurts is still banged up, you had your head coach admitting it. Well, we'll see. Could be some gamesmanship going on. Okay? Could be some gamesmanship. The only good team you played was Kansas City. Seattle's the lower seed. Okay, they would have played Seattle. They'd have took care of Seattle. Okay, they would have taken care of Seattle. Andrew says, Dan keeps thinking we expect Jalen to be a 15-year. He'll be – Andrew. Okay. Andrew, if that's how you see that, 5 to 7, I agree. Andrew, I think he's a 5 to 7 year career. And anything over 7 years with Jalen Hurts, I think is gravy. He's smarter than Josh Allen. I think he plays smarter than Lamar. He may play 10. He's smart like that. And it's going to depend on the construction of the team. If the team is still constructed correctly, then, in my opinion, it'll say a lot in how long his career is. But I think Jalen Hurts has between a 5 to 7 year NFL career playing like that at a high level. It's okay. That's kind of what Lamar Jackson is right now. RG3 didn't even get to that. I mean, Kyler Murray didn't even get to that point, and he's already got a catastrophic knee injury. Guys are. It's who they are. Okay? 5 to 7, plus he's smart, maybe 10. Sure. And productive inside that? Yes. As long as the team stays intact. It's hard to keep the team intact when you're paying a guy $45 million, which I don't think they're ever going to do. I do not believe they're giving Jalen Hurts $45 million. If they do, they'll never win. They'll never win. They'll never win where they want to go if you pay him $45 million. He's not Patrick Mahomes. And those contracts don't pan out. None of them. Shit, you just gave Derek Carr $43 million. They're moving him. Kyler Murray's banged up, 46-1. Baltimore doesn't want to pay Lamar. That's a big gamble in Cleveland with Deshaun. Only one of those contracts have actually panned out. And yet to be determined on Josh Allen. We got to wait and see what he does this year. This is the first year of the $42 million contract that he signed. So we got to wait and see. Okay? Looks like they're going to have a neutral site AFC Championship game. So he kind of fulfilled what they needed to do in the regular season. Game will be in Atlanta if all things shape up at a neutral site for the AFC Championship. So we'll see. Dak Prescott's deal hasn't returned investment. Pay a guy $43 million. Are you happy with what you're paying Dak right now if you're a Cowboy? No. Okay? That's a good question. We'll do that, Brandon, later on. Who's the biggest upset potentially in the first round of the wild card weekend? We'll do that in hour number 2 coming up here too. Also have another topic. I want to hit on this one. We got a ton of stuff. Don't forget Warren Moon, hour number 3. He will be with us, the NFL Hall of Famer, Pro Football Hall of Famer at 5:30 Eastern. I have ranked the job openings. DraftKings has come out with the odds on who will be the Super Bowl MVP. Pretty interesting. The offense and defensive rookies of the year, I have a vote. By the way, I sent my vote in for the MVP today. Also, wild card weekend. And as you know, I went down to top three, and my top three were Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. I put Hurts third. I had Jalen third. So, Mahomes, Burrow, and Hurts. Those were your three dudes that I put on my ballot for the NFL MVP. Do I think it was close? Not really. I think Patrick Mahomes, if Jalen would have had a better record and beat Dallas and say he got to 4K with all those receivers and what they did, it could have been closer. It could have been closer. Okay? Hour number 2. Please hit the like button. More topics. And again, don't forget, Warren Moon. We're also efforting our friend Seth Joyner. He may join us in this hour as well.